Everyone, this is the Air Conservation Commission meeting. It is Thursday, June 26th, 2025. Commissioners in attendance this evening, we have George Bacon as member, Jess Gugino, member clerk, Mark Phillips is the vice chair. Jenna Maya is not here. Heather Hampson, our agent, is not here. John Schmallenberger, chair. Confirmation of agenda? I think the only difference is that we're going to continue the notice of intent on Bly Street. Any other changes besides that?
I think so.
Motion to approve the agenda as
Amended.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. Approval, never mind, you got that on there. Approval of the meeting minutes, June 12th, 2025. Everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes?
What you got, Mark?
Yeah, any
Yeah,
corrections?
nothing.
You got nothing?
Nothing.
Jeez, okay. George?
Nope.
All right, I don't either. Motion to approve the meeting minutes for June 12th as written.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously. First item this evening is a public hearing adoption of the floodplain overlay regulation under the Town of Ayer Wetland Protection Regulations. And Mr. Ruiz, you will tell us what's going on.
Yes. So there was a meeting with FEMA about a week and a half ago because we found out when we submitted the final approved document that went before town meeting to FEMA and to DCR that there was a section that was omitted in part of the regulations, which I will actually get to in this.
Which document precisely?
So in the floodplain overlay district,
Yeah.
in that bylaw, there was a section that was omitted, and as you on the screen you can see under section 8.28 variances. So section B, the variances to local zoning bylaws related to community compliance with National Flood Insurance Program, and number 1. So this section was omitted because it was we were under the impression that another section was supposed to be used in when we put in this variance. We found out through from the review of DCR and from FEMA that the one that we used was only specifically for 4 different towns in Massachusetts, and that one of them is included is Boston. So this mistake actually is we're not the only town that this occurred to. And so what we did was we met with FEMA to see what are the options on addressing this. We had KP Law Town Council review it, and they gave us some options. Basically, ask FEMA to allow it as it is, and then amend it at town meeting in the fall. Hold a special town meeting, or not do anything. We decided to have a meeting with FEMA to try to see what options they felt was the best option. And because under their regulations, the variance section is required for it to be a valid bylaw, they said that they couldn't just let us continue and then amend it in October. That they said that at that point people would lose flood insurance for coverage until that got submitted, and we didn't want to go down that route of there's about 45-ish houses and properties that have flood insurance that would be affected by that. So we didn't want to go down that road. So the other option, the best one we found, was to just have the whole bylaw adopted into the wetland protection regulations that is under the Conservation Commission. This was the easiest route. They said it would cover the regulations. It would be enforced by the Conservation Commission until October, when we amended at town meeting. The way it would so the way it would work is currently it would fall under your regulations, and so I have it up on here on the screen. So at the end of your document, what we did was just so that it wouldn't affect your document in the long run, because I know Heather had mentioned that you guys were looking at making other amendments to the regulations. So what we did was see Appendix A for floodplain overlay district regulations, and then just just put the whole document into here as Appendix A, so that in October, when we go back to town meeting and amend that section within the actual bylaw, that can be done, and then we can rescind this from your regulations to remove it out of there, and it wouldn't affect the way your document is. So that if you guys do have any other changes for your regulations, it wouldn't affect anything.
Okay. That's clear as mud.
Yeah. It's not the best. I mean, obviously, it's not the best option. I mean, it's not the best situation. It was an oversight on my part, and DCR's review caught it at the end. I'm glad that it did get caught, but this is kind of the best option we have right now.
So what is it that you want us to do?
So tonight, it's you guys would be voting on adopting the new wetland protection regulations as they are presented, which it includes the floodplain overlay district regulations.
Any questions?
So the only question I have is, I'm assuming you've done a search of the document above.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reference to the old location where it was incorrect?
No, so it's not even within your regulations. It was only originally within our the general bylaws, or the zoning bylaws. It was not within your wetland protection regulations, but we can put it in there because the WPA references flood, flood compensatory storage and all that. So it can be put into your regulations, but the rest of your document does not have reference of the floodplain overlay district in section 8.2.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Any other discussion? Mr. Pompey, do you have anything you'd like to add to this?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, good evening. Mr. Ruiz did a fabulous job outlining it. I just want to thank the commission for considering this, and I think this is a successful interim plan, so we don't lose any of the flood insurance. And then in October, we'll just correct it through town meeting, and we just appreciate your time and support.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Thank you.
Did you get all that? Would you make the motion?
So I can help you out here.
No.
So
Motion to adopt the floodplain overlay regulations into the conservation regulations.
Local bylaw regulations.
one thing, the resident wants to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is it okay if I ask questions?
I'm sorry?
Is it okay if I approach?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't see your hand up. I'm
Do you
sorry.
want a second first, and then we have discussion, and then we can vote, whatever.
Yeah, but before you motion, she needs to be able to speak.
Okay.
Hi there.
Hi.
Rachel Kazera, 30 Grattan Harvard Road. I was just wondering, with this adoption, is it like the wetland bylaws would still be governed by the Conservation Commission, and whoever is interfering with this particular bylaw wouldn't have any say or modifications to the bylaws?
Anyone who's interfering?
Well, not interfering. I'm sorry, I need to use a different adjective. Modifying the current bylaws to accommodate the discretion. What is it called? The discrepancy with adopting the floodplain bylaws. Do you know what I mean?
Can you say that all over again?
Because I didn't know that this was I didn't see this document on the portal. So My question is that when this comes to town hall, is it like up for, like, are other portions of the bylaw up for debate? Like,
At town meeting?
or town meeting, sorry, I don't know what I said. And so, would it be possible, like, would someone else be able to modify those bylaws, like, within this, or is it just the conservation?
So
Because we're adopting this into our regulations.
Okay,
If we were changing our wetland bylaw, that would also have to be a town meeting vote, not us.
okay,
But our regulations we can do through a public hearing outside of town meeting.
gotcha.
yeah, so just to explain also, the bylaw is still going to be shown in our zoning bylaws as 8.2,
Mhm.
but because it's missing that important variance section, it's not a valid bylaw. So what is going to happen is it goes under the wetland protection regulations, which is enforced through the Conservation Commission.
Mhm.
So that same exact document, but with the corrected version, is under their regulations until October, when we bring it to town meeting. So that bylaw in town will be amended in town meeting, and
Okay.
then once that's approved, it will be removed out of this regulation.
Which bylaw?
The floodplain overlay district
So
bylaw.
it would just you would just come here and say we're removing it from here. It wouldn't be like a town vote. Okay, I just wanted to clarify. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
Just
to.
a temporary
Okay,
housing.
thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure.
One more time.
Motion to adopt the floodplain overlay regulations into the air wetland protection bylaw regulations.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Our next item this evening, public meeting.
Close the hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Sorry. Motion to close the public hearing, the adoption of the floodplain overlay regulations under town of Ayer wetland protection regulations.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes
Usually I get that
unanimously.
one. I was going to go right by me too. On the-
Y'all got my back, though. I appreciate it.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
For me.
Us old folks gotta stick together.
All right.
Wonder Twin Powers. You'll never remember that. Wonder Twin Powers?
Yeah.
Next item this evening is a request, public meeting request for determination of applicability, Department of Public Works, drainage outfall improvements along Snake Hill Road and Calvin Street. I know where that is. And Barnum Road. Are you going to join us this evening? How are you?
Good, how are you?
Seen you in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while.
What do you got going?
Yeah, so this application is, it's an RDA for drainage outfall improvements. This is more of a maintenance activity than I'd say like a project. So what Public Works is trying to do, we inspect our outfalls usually each year. We're supposed to do it once every 5 years at minimum, but we try to do it every year. So these outfalls were just a couple that were flagged from our recent inspections that clearly had a lot of erosion, and we're trying to basically prevent that from happening in future.
Was there one on Snake Hill that was already addressed?
Yes, I think we did one a year or two ago. I might have even went here for an RDA for that one, but this is a different, probably close. I'm trying to remember where that one was on Snake Hill. Yeah, really what we're trying to do at these 4 outfall locations is remove any accumulated drainage sediment and to install a riprap apron, which helps slow down the water and prevent future erosion.
Mhm.
4 locations under this application. I have sketches that show just rough locations.
There's 4?
There's 1 on Snake Hill Road, 1 on Calvin Street, and 2 on Barnum Road.
Okay.
And all the work is, you're just cleaning up the outfall and installing the riprap, or are you going into the actual storm drain, like into the drain too?
We're just working from the end of the storm drain out toward the pond.
Okay, all right.
So there's no...
Just at the outfall end.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think they're having a dodgeball tournament upstairs.
Yeah.
Listen to the pickleball.
How much disturbance?
So I didn't actually calculate that. So each of these, well, I can give you, I guess, a rough approximation. So for each outfall, usually it's like a 5-foot wide apron, and it goes at least between the pipe end and the edge of pond.
Mhm.
So that's the, I guess, disturbance area
Yep.
where we'd actually be installing the riprap.
You know what kids do a lot? Is they just grab whatever is loose and throw it in the pond.
Yes, that's definitely something that.
How do you stop that?
Well, we try to use fairly large drainage stones and make sure they're actually embedded in the ground and not just installed loose, if you will.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. I'm just. Yep.
But we've unfortunately seen that before. So with every improvement, there's a possibility for unintended consequences.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is,
Any comments, Jess?
No, no.
George? Mark?
No, I'm
Any-
outside of, you're gonna put wobbles or something there as your protection and all.
exactly. Yeah, we'd put erosion controls at least during the install, right up to the edge of the pond for each location.
Yep. Any comments from the gallery?
I don't really know what you're talking about because there's no visuals, so I'm sorry.
So you have like a pipe going under the road carrying stormwater. Then there's a pond, and then right in between it's eroding.
Oh,
So it's just removing the sediment buildup and putting in
Rocks.
rock.
So that the sediment doesn't go in, hopefully.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion to issue a negative determination for the RDA, Department of Public Works, drainage outfall improvements along Snake Hill Road, Calvin Street, and Barnum Road?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Hey,
Thank you, Mark.
question, what's the latest on the West Main Street Bridge?
We have, Public Works has been asking for a schedule for about the past 2 or 3 months, and we're still waiting on that. That's really step one to get started.
From the contractor?
From the contractor. So what's interesting with that project is it seems like the contractor believes they can get it done quicker than I guess we had thought, which is a positive, but I think in the same way they're taking their time to get started because we gave them so much time from their perspective. That's kind of where we're at. So we're still waiting on that schedule. They've They've had a couple of material deliveries, but that's really all the progress. No actual work.
And Heather had mentioned there was a question of where to stage materials. Whether, remember it was,
I do remember that, yeah.
it was going to be staged coming, what was, do you remember, Mark? Or George?
Yeah, over in the DPW, when you'd come through the
Yeah.
cart path through that marsh.
Yes, and that was the contractor's plan, and we told the contractor they would have to come before you all.
Okay.
Obviously, that's alongside wetlands, and that's an area that would actually need a temporary improvement to actually make that work. So,
Yeah. And I think we suggested just going down the street to that open area that's trying to turn into a little apartment complex / retail space and just rent a little bit of space out over there and be done with it.
okay.
Yeah, I don't know where that's at.
Well, I think we had differences of opinion on whether that was necessary, but that was why it was necessary to come before us, if you were going to.
Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereabouts is that, once again?
Across from the donut shop.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
From Ruby's, Karen's, right? So,
Yep.
Right there, yeah.
That would definitely be better in terms of
Yeah,
not,
kind of a big wide open space, you know. Okay.
I guess there's pluses and minuses too, right? I mean, you have to deal with traffic
Yeah.
at that point, getting to and
It's going to be a
from.
detail regardless. Okay.
I suppose, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah,
going to be
but
one way in each direction, I thought, right?
one way in
I'm
each
sorry,
direction.
just one way with a light or something.
Exactly.
Right, so, or one lane, that's what I'm trying to say, one lane, so it has to be controlled either by a light or by a cop of some sort.
But that would be something our contractor, they know, if they were to actually go through with that plan to go back and forth to DBW across that little cart path adjacent to the wetlands, they would have to come before you all and possibly even submit a notice of intent, just because that would require a permanent improvement. Because my understanding is an old culvert pipe there that is no longer there, that collapsed or washed away, and it's nothing's happened since then.
It's a dark story from the past.
Predated you.
So I guess more to come on that, but I'll also bring up that idea of the West Main Street to our contractor. So very slow, but some progress with that project. Yes.
Thank you for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thanks, man.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Next item this evening is the continued public hearing, notice of intent, DEP file number 100 dash, is supposed to be a 0 in front of that?
Yeah.
Okay. 100-0498, and we have been asked to continue this until our next,
Oh, that's continued too?
that's the one, isn't it?
It was
This is
Bly,
not- oh, this is
Bly
not Bly?
Street. Bly Street.
Lies continued.
Or did Heather?
This is the one that we,
Oh, this is, yeah, we just have the orders, right? Yeah, we approved that, we just have to approve the conditions, orders of conditions?
that's what it says, sign for
Oh, wait. There's that little,
on the
Is that what it says?
there's a little yellow thing
Didn't read
that
it.
says sign.
So, any comments? We went over these before, right?
But I'd say, just to clarify, just maybe do a vote to sign the document and close the public hearing all at once, right?
Sure.
Yeah. We have to close the public hearing anyways.
Okay, is there a motion to issue and approve the orders of conditions, DEP file number 100-0498, and also to close the public hearing?
So moved.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Passes unanimously.
What is
What
that
is
noise?
going on?
Is that upstairs?
Back door's open, there's
Oh,
a,
they're feeding people.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. There's a movie troupe here, and they're feeding the people working on a movie. Yeah, they're filming them.
Something over in the, is it Norwood area the other night? I guess they were filming. Like in Shirley, Ayer, and Groton, some different locations. Is it a Netflix or something? Yeah. Anybody famous upstairs?
I've been up. We had a movie, big movie, filmed just around the block from us when I lived in Acton, and it was cool for like 3 days, and then it was a pain in the neck.
So that goes back where you found me.
When I worked in Boston, Denzel Washington was in the alleyway of like my office, so I got to like jump on a file cabinet. That was pretty neat.
Got to sell a D.H. Lawrence novel to Joanne Woodward once in Boston when I was working at a bookstore. Yeah. I almost asked her if she was an understudy because they were filming. I said, were you filling in? And then it's like, no, it's her.
You lost your nerve, didn't you?
No, I mean, oh no, wait, I did recognize her. It was her co-star came up first, and I thought, I almost asked him some stupid question, like, who are you? Are you anybody? So, anyway.
Anyway, our next item this evening is the continued public hearing notice of intent, DEP file number 100-0499. And then ask to continue this until our next meeting on July 10th, 2025. So that's that. We don't have to do anything, right? It's just
We have to vote.
to continue.
Yeah.
Motion to continue the public hearing notice of intent, DEP file number 100-0499 until our next meeting, which is July 10th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Passes unanimous. Any conservation member updates?
Just observe the town beach. Looks like it's closed up till Sunday for high bacteria levels.
Did they treat the ponds today?
You're supposed to.
They were supposed to. I
Yeah.
didn't see them, but do they do that if it's
Yeah, I think they can. It's if it's an algae bloom, they couldn't.
yeah, okay.
But
I didn't see them out there.
well, on Sandy Pond, I think they're only doing spot treatments this year. Yeah. But I didn't see anybody out today either. Anyway,
Any more news on the little algae bloom we had over there by Townsend's?
no, but I did hear from Carol McCreary that there was a little green algae spot over at the end of Hedgeway, at that end of Sandy Pond. Very tiny, and so I think the residents just pulled it out of the water or scooped it out. But so there seems to be a green algae advanced scout activity checking on our ponds.
Yeah. Anything else? Now's your chance. Public input.
Got nothing.
You got nothing.
I have seed dumplings. I was gonna try to share with the pot forest things, but then forgot who I emailed or tried to reach out to. But they never got back to me, so I have a whole bunch of them. If anyone
What do you have?
wants them. Normally you call them seed bombs, but I just feel like that's too aggressive. So then I heard that you call them seed dumplings, and it's just clay and wildflower mix from
Oh.
New England and and we benefit from flowers. So anyway, I have a whole bunch if anyone wants them. Not too exciting, but you know, I think it's exciting. That's all I have.
Can you take those to the library and put them like in their seed thing?
Oh, that's a great idea. I could probably put them underneath. I would just be nervous to, like, you mean the book drop or something?
No. Actually, in the library, they have a seed, like a card catalog with seeds. Maybe ask them. Maybe that's something that, put them like in a Ziploc bag or something, and
Yeah, I have paper bags. I was gonna write the recipe out on the bag and then put them in there. So I don't know. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
maybe.
a good idea. Thank you.
That's a good idea. Yeah. Anything else?
my gardens.
And just for the record, I'm putting Barry's atmospheric comment, I got nothing, into the minutes.
Seems too early to leave.
I know.
What do you think?
But look at all we accomplished. We amended our regulations. We signed an order of conditions, and we continued a public hearing.
And we approved an
The
RDA.
And we
RDA?
improved, yes. Well, we gave it negative.
Yeah, well,
Got approved.
it's a negative approval.
Okay.
Anything else?
Actually, can I ask more questions?
Please, come forward. Yep.
I hate approaching, but
Why?
it's scary.
Oh,
I
no.
get
And
scared.
we're very scary too.
I know. You're not scary, but it still makes me nervous because I don't like this. Anyway, I guess I'm just concerned about all of the developments that are happening in town. I know it's an inevitable situation, but just looking out, it's just, I know that we have the sustainability committee, but I looked at their website and it's a little aggressive. It's all caps, and the description is like, this will follow the suit. Please don't write it was aggressive. I didn't mean to say that. It's just all caps are a little bit much. But anywho, I was just it seems like it's moving in line with the vision of the micro city. But yeah, I just wonder if we're missing opportunities now to set up foundations for animals to find different homes, I guess, when different times come, when development happens and, they get displaced. And you were talking about the bats last time. I saw, normally I'd see about like 15 or something at nighttime, and they're super helpful with the mosquitoes. But, I only saw like 3 lately, which is pretty low. But also the dragonflies, normally our yard is like covered. But what inspired me was that last night I went outside, and I don't really want to talk because like I feel bad bringing up like being upset about developments because everyone wants developments, whatever. Well, thank you for saying that. But it was just everywhere was covered with fireflies, and it was just like fireflies are, they're going the way of the dodo just because their environments are being taken away and people don't practice. I don't know, people like their lawns to look pristine and kept and all that stuff, so they don't have their normal homes, but,
Bug zappers also drive me nuts.
oh yeah.
'Cause they're indiscriminate.
They really are. I use mosquito dunk rings. Are those bad? You put them in a bucket of water and then they kill the mosquito larvae. And they supposedly don't kill anything else except for
No,
mosquitoes.
the bacillus.
They're okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm sorry I asked that in this moment.
Yeah.
But anyway, but so yeah, I was just inspired to like ask what we can do, I guess, as people who, people who do care about, where these critters go when their trees are cut down and their land is taken away from them. It's inevitable, I understand. We live in Massachusetts, but at the same time, there's a balance here that I think is just kind of being super disrupted, so. Yeah. So I just don't know if I know whatever the sustainability committee is doing is for the micro city, but I didn't know if the Conservation Commission had recommendations or resources to like accommodate, you know, the future problems that might be presented by these modifications to the land.
Well, a lot of the animals are very adaptable, and they can find a new home. Some of them clearly are not. And you're preaching to the choir here. I'm not opposed to development. That's not our job here to stifle development. We just need to make them be as responsible as we can make them be.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the really good things is the OSRD, and that's big development. They give up half their land for conservation. In perpetuity, that's a good thing. How can we, I don't know, we're going to go down some ethical wormholes here. Do you all know of any type of organizations to assist critters?
Yeah, that would be an I don't know of any per se, but a number of years ago, the state held a forum on the two needs to provide housing and to protect open space. And there are two priorities in Massachusetts that are also clearly in conflict. And that, and I think unfortunately in the last few years it seems the more pressing need is that many feel is for development, for housing. So for myself, I just like to take the open space side because there's louder voices on the other side right now, but try to retard what we can or slow down what we can. But the issue the town always faces is dealing with development is private property owners have constitutional rights, and the town can't say, no, you can't do anything with the property that you own and you're paying taxes on. So the best thing that most of the town can do is try to shape things so it's, like you said, more responsible. But, yeah, there are limits to what even local government can do.
And we all grew up.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't say that, but I grew up in this subdivision where everybody had a beautiful lawn. My mom was out there with this can of weed killer, waging war on dandelions, and that was the culture for a long time. And hopefully, people's perception of what their property is will change. More of a natural. Have some grass for kids or whatever, and then have a natural spot for the rest of the critters. It's going to be an educational thing.
I mean, I'll try to research. I know last time we were talking about bat boxes. I know that there's a million other things that take precedence, but I think it's just it's just a concern because they're my neighbors.
Who you might try contacting to see what their thoughts are? Have you heard of Newhouse Wildlife Rehab in Chelmsford? You would love them. Are you
Okay.
on Facebook?
Yes.
Look up Newhouse
Okay.
Wildlife, and they have a Facebook page, but it's all specifically for wildlife rescue and rehabilitation. And I would wonder what they would say about if there are organizations that try to help, if there's any way in that's feasible to try and persuade wild animals to go from here to here.
But yeah, I just mean like I think when we start to when things, I mean, I don't know what's going on in Stratton Hill. I'm just scared to go over there because I don't actually know where it really is. But if we preemptively, like, if there's an old, I don't know, area that would be able to be used for some sort of like rabbits or I don't know what, if it's little, maybe something like that, but just finding little nooks and crevices to like preemptively set up just to have a refuge for animals that are like, what's happening to my house? I don't know where to go, kind of deal. But also, I guess, education for people who are abutting developments to like, what do I do if there's a bear in my backyard all of a sudden, you know? And I'm sure a lot of people already know kind of to do that, but just like, you know, they're just trying to figure out what's going on and to, I don't know if I communicated that correctly, but I think just trying to understand how to help nature as opposed to freak out.
One of the things that there's more interest in doing for projects, and I think the planning board asks for this on new developments now too, is dark sky compliant lighting, which is aimed downward, but its intent is to not disturb wildlife around the borders of a development. So there are actions like that. Heather also said the select board recently approved something that bans the use of a certain kind of rodenticide, I can't remember the exact type, on municipal property. Those are things that towns are starting to do too, to try to discourage, you know, throwing in poison into, you know, mice and then rats and then raptors and so on. And this is the first step, but I think eventually hope to move it to town-wide. But
Makes sense.
Stratton Hill is half of their, over half, right? Way over half of the property that could be developed is in conservation.
that's
Thank
actually a
goodness, yeah.
victory.
Yeah, that seemed like it was a really good thing that happened.
Like under 12 acres they're developing, and the town's getting over, or over 130 acres has now gone into permanent conservation, mostly under fish and wildlife, some under the town, but won't be developed.
And
Ever.
it abuts property in conservation land in Groton. So it's
Yeah.
a big, huge chunk now.
Good corridor.
Trying.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And I hope I communicated correctly, so.
But if you really love wildlife, good stories, check out Newhouse Wildlife on Facebook.
I will.
They're the ones we went to see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were awesome. Yeah. Shall we go? I don't know. What am I trying to say? Is there a motion to adjourn? That's the word. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Passes unanimously.